Hello, welcome to the 10th evening of the 2023 African Cup of Nations, and today was by far the craziest night of football I think I can ever remember in an African Cup of Nations. The drama was, the variables, the mathematics, the calculations. It was absolutely non-stop drama from the beginning of the evening to the end of the evening, so it's such a pleasure to talk about it. Today's the first day of match day three of the group stages, and so as a result, you have two matches at 5 p.m. over here and two matches at 8 p.m. Group A and Group B were playing. I went to a fan zone here in Abidjan to watch Côte d'Ivoire play against Equatorial Guinea. And this was one of those where, even prior to the match, speaking to Ivorian fans, a lot of them were not 100% confident, taking into account their performance against Nigeria, where they lost 1-0. Many felt like this side were going to disappoint them, and sure enough, they did. The one. The one thought that I keep thinking back to is that this Ivorian team coming into this tournament didn't know their best 11. And not only did they not know their best 11 before the tournament, but now, even three matches in, I still don't think they know their best 11. And the proof is in the pudding. After that loss to Nigeria, Gasse comes into this match and he completely changes the front line. So instead of, your Krassos and your Bogas and Bamba, who were starting before, now he brings in three completely new different forwards: Diakite, Kwame, and Nicolas Pepe. If you're trying to make wholesale changes in the midst of the tournament, I don't think that's good news. Not at all. Even at the right back position, the first match he starts Singo, and then he subs him out at halftime for Aurier. The second match he starts Aurier, but that doesn't really work out, and now he's back at Singo. The center half, first two matches he started Diomande, even though he was criticizing him in the press conferences, and now he brings in Willy Boley. So the fact that he's still trying to experiment and still trying to find his best 11, that for me, that always spelled trouble. Sometimes during these tournaments, you can find your best 11 as the matches sort of come and go. Gasset still hasn't found his best 11, and I still don't think he's anywhere close to finding his best 11, and that's a big, big, big problem. And that's probably why Côte d'Ivoire are facing elimination, although it's still very possible that they qualify as one of the best third-place teams. So as this match started, it kind of set up almost exactly as I expected it to. Equatorial Guinea are a team that are going to set up and be very well organized. And if you're surprised at all by Equatorial Guinea's success at this Afcon, it's because you haven't been paying attention. They've been playing at a very high level for the last 3 years now, including the last Afcon when, they knocked out Algeria in their group stages. They make it to the round of 16. They knock out Mali, and then they lose to Senegal, the future champions. They're a side that's not looking to monopolize possession, looking to press, take the ball off of you and spread out and, knock it around. No. They're going to make sure they're fundamentally sound defensively. They're going to sit back, absorb, harry you in midfield. They have those scrappy midfielders like Iban Edu, and then they can counterattack. Once you make a mistake, they'll make you pay for it, especially with a striker like Emilio Nsue, who is playing in the third division in Spain. We've spoken about him. You've probably heard about him. You probably know him if you're listening to this podcast. Third division in Spain as a right back. He has 5 goals in this AFCON. Not many strikers in AFCON history have got to 5 goals, so he can be very, very proud of himself, not just for this AFCON, but really his entire international career. And so, the first half, Ivory Coast created a few chances. Equatorial Guinea were sitting back. And if you're going to take the approach of you're going to put them under pressure and you're going to try to break them down and crack them intensively, which Côte d'Ivoire did, you have to make sure you're precise in attack and you have to make sure you score your chances when you get them. And Côte d'Ivoire didn't. They had many chances. They had at least 2 or 3 chances that I can remember off the top of my head that they, Nicolas Pepe, for example, getting in on a goalkeeper, taking an extra touch, and Ovono, the Equatorial Guinean goalkeeper, getting a hand on it and knocking it away. Those are the chances, if you're going to put them under pressure and you're going to apply pressure on them, that you have to take and capitalize on. They didn't. Not only did they not take those chances, but then when they were defending, horrible defending, especially for the first goal, Emilio Nsue, the Equatorial Guinean right back, comes in and dribbles past, I think, 4 players, knocks a low cross in, and Nsue detaches himself from the man marking and just beautiful technique, just sweeps it into the bottom corner, and Yahya Fofana can't do anything about it. And so immediately, everyone at the fan zone is, not in a good mood. And then Côte d'Ivoire, they seemed like they were a little bit cursed today too. I mean, they scored 2 goals, and they both got called back for VAR. I don't think there's much Cote d'Ivoire could have done, about the second goal. Maybe Yahya Fofana, he's a young goalkeeper who's done really well in the second division. I thought he's done a good job in this tournament as well, distributing with his feet. But he got a hand to the free kick. I haven't seen like all the angles to it, but it seems like he should have done better. Uh, you know, uh, Saving that second goal, and then by then Cote d'Ivoire are trying to throw everybody on, attacking. And that's another thing where you show a little bit of inexperience. You have 3 points. You know that in the previous Afcon, two teams advanced to the knockout stages with 3 points. You don't have to throw on a bunch of attacking players, Max Gradel, all these players, and try to, go all out and score goals. Just take your time, be patient, make sure you're not like leaving defensive holes behind you. And they didn't do that. They left a lot of holes behind them, and sure enough, Equatorial Guinea made them pay for it. Emilio Nsue got his brace. Like I said, he's at 5 goals. And then same thing, another counterattack for the fourth, and that was all she wrote. But 4 goals as a host nation, especially a host nation like Cote d'Ivoire, who have great Afcon history, that's absolutely inexcusable. And I think Cote d'Ivoire fans know it, Cote d'Ivoire players know it, the staff know it. You cannot concede you can't lose 4-0 at home. When you're at Cote d'Ivoire and you're playing against Equatorial Guinea, again, with all due respect to Equatorial Guinea, who we really, really respect and who we think are a great side, 4-0 is not acceptable. So, the Ivorians, even like the stadium staff, the volunteers, man, they were down in the dumps. And you almost, on one hand, you're enjoying the drama of it all, but on the other hand, you feel for them. And you feel for the AFCON as well, because when the host nation is knocked out this early, you don't want the locals to sort of fall out of love with the tournament, and then, there's less of a festive atmosphere and all of that. You kind of want them to go, keep attending the matches, you should keep showing enthusiasm. So that part is a little bit sad. But the Ivorians pulled out their calculators, and they hoped for, good grace and fortune to bless them in the evening matches at 8 p.m., and sure enough, that happened. Egypt come into this match without Mohamed Salah. And let me take a quick moment to talk about that before I talk about the match. Mohamed Salah picks up a hamstring injury against Ghana. He's subbed out in the match. And what happens next is an absolute embarrassment. It's a catastrophe. It's shambolic communication between the player and his representative, the Egyptian FA, and Liverpool. Salah is injured. The next morning, or the next afternoon, or was it even that evening? No, I think it was the next day. We hear that he's only out for 2 matches. Great. That means it's a very light strain. It's probably not a torn hamstring. If he's only out for 2 matches, especially at the rate that matches come in the AFCON, that's probably like a week, maybe a week and change. Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp then come out and say, you know what? Mohamed Salah, yeah, he's injured, nah. Sorry, prior to Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. The next morning, there's a press conference. Mohamed Salah is at the press conference. What's Mohamed Salah doing at the press conference? He's not going to be playing in the next match. But he's at the press conference and he's answering questions as if he's, part and parcel of the team and he's going to be staying here and leading, as a captain and as a leader, you expect him to. No. Immediately after the press conference, 2-3 hours, we learned that he's going back to Liverpool. And then we hear the Jurgen Klopp in Liverpool say, you know what? It's actually a complicated hamstring injury. We're going to bring him back here for treatment. And then it's going to, speed up his recovery. And if Egypt go far, he can absolutely return and for the Egyptian national team, blah, 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 blah. A few things here. This is your iconic player. This is your captain. This is your leader. Now we have to weigh the pros and cons, okay? What is the weight of having Mohamed Salah with the team in training sessions, talking to his players, leading them in and out? How valuable is that? That's one thing to consider. How much quicker can Liverpool staff heal him? And do you really think that that's what it is? I mean, like, how much can you heal? I don't know, a torn hamstring, or I don't know. And then Mohamed Salah's agent the following day, after he comes under a lot of criticism in Egypt, because he's being compared to Mohamed Abu Trika, he's being compared to Hussam Hassan, to Ahmed Hassan, and sometimes it's not fair because somebody like Abu Trika, for example, I mean, his personality is so great. He's such a nice guy. He's so well respected by everybody that we all seem like bums in front of Abu Trika, and Mohamed Salah has to follow that act. So he's being criticized in Egypt, and there's a famous Egyptian journalist, Ahmed Fahmy, that says, Hussam Hassan or Ahmed Hassan, you would have had to shoot them in the head for them to leave the Egyptian camp. You know. Next day, we hear from Rami Abbas, Mohamed Salah's agent, saying the injury is more complicated than we thought it would be. It's actually going to take 2 to 3 weeks for him to heal, and as a result, him going to Liverpool, same spiel, him going back to Liverpool is going to accelerate his thing, and if Egypt go far, then he's going to come back. My main problem here is the communication. Why do we have 3 different stories from 3 different entities involved in, Mohamed Salah's interests? How difficult could it be for the FA, the player's agent, and his club to all come together and issue a joint statement after they received all the information to protect the player from the criticism and that he's receiving at home now? Because it seems like each of them have different interests. Egypt maybe wanted to keep him here, Liverpool wanted to get him back, and Rami Abbas, his agent, just wants to, cares about the PR. And the fact that they're all looking after their own interests instead of the player's interest, that's hurting him ultimately. And that's really one of the most unfortunate things about this whole episode. So the communication, I think, is something that could actually affect Egypt negatively. And in the post-match press conference, Egypt coach Rui Vitoria talked about it, and he said that he wasn't happy with Liverpool putting out some information through intermediaries that he thinks makes the Egyptian national team look bad. Let's go back to the game. Egypt versus Cape Verde. Egypt don't have Mohamed Salah. They're lining up in their traditional 4-3-3. And I think, for large parts of the first half, it was a balanced match. Cape Verde, despite them making 5 substitutions because 4 players were on yellow cards, they didn't want to risk them being suspended for the knockout stages. They took them out, and then Bebe picked up a slate knock. So he didn't play in this match as well. So they sub out practically half of their starting lineup, and they're still going toe-to-toe with Egypt. I think Cape Verde are the most tactically and technically sound in this group stage of this African Cup of Nations, maybe alongside Senegal, who've also played quite well, intricate passing play in midfield. We asked the coach Bubista after the match, why and how, Cape Verde became so technically and tactically sound, and he said it really has a lot to do with convincing the players with their style of play, and he said once they started having fun, that's when he sees them playing for one another, and that's when he sees them perfecting, the technical and tactical aspects of the match. So I thought that was an interesting answer, not deeply profound, but pretty interesting. So they're toe-to-toe, and eventually Cape Verde opened the scoring, which is bad. Egypt equalize. Cape Verde score again. Egypt equalize, and then Egypt is on. Man, I've scrambled brains I don't even remember exactly what happened, but I know it was 1-1.5. At the 85th minute, Egypt have 3 points, Ghana have 4 points, and Côte d'Ivoire are in trouble because, Côte d'Ivoire have -3, I believe, goal difference. And Ghana, up until the 90th minute, have 4 points, and they're winning 2-0 against Mozambique in Ebimpe. And sure enough, Ghana concede 2 goals in injury time. And Egypt score. So Egypt all of a sudden have 5 points. Egypt have 5 points. They're second place in Group B. Ghana all of a sudden only have 2 points, and then Egypt concede as well. And so Egypt finished with 3 points. They still go ahead of the Ivory Coast because of goal difference, and Ghana are most likely going home. Yeah, Egypt are second in Group B. Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. Yeah, that's right. So Egypt don't even have to worry about third place. My apologies. And Côte d'Ivoire now are now third place, and that's good for them because they're ahead of Ghana, of course, who finished in third place but with 2 points, and that's not looking likely they're going to progress there. Overall, I thought, what can we talk about in terms of for Egypt? Mahmoud Trezeguet, I thought, had a great cameo after he came on. He scored a goal, and he got an assist as well. He was man of the match, and he's been one player that every time he comes on, he scores or he assists like really important goals. Mohamed Mustafa also, I thought, played well. Actually, most of the Egyptian front line played well. The main problem with Egypt at the moment is that they're conceding goals. And again, this was not expected because Rui Vitoria, his reputation is that he's quite solid defensively. There are reports, and you can Google this, that Pep Guardiola was losing sleep because he was having to play against Rui Vitoria's Benfica side, and that they really, really struggled to break them down. So as a result, the fact that they're still conceding goals, cheap goals almost, that's surprising. And when we asked the coach Rui Vitoria, what he thought about all of this, he was saying that they're not structurally conceding goals. They seem to be like individual errors. That was his interpretation of things. I don't agree with that. He said he's going to rewatch everything, and he said he's going to get it fixed because he also concedes that them conceding 2 goals a game. They've conceded 2 goals in every single match of these group stages. That's a big, big problem for Egypt, and they're not going to go far in this tournament going forward. Finally, I'll just wrap up my final point about Egypt by saying that they still feel like they can go far in this tournament. Mahmoud Trezeguet, as the man of the match, came in at the press conference and he said, everybody's motivated to take the trophy home. He said that in Arabic. They still feel that's that football heritage thing, yeah, okay, it was a very tough group stages. We understand the criticism, but we absolutely still think that we can win this tournament and go home. And I think that could be a factor to keep in mind for later on. I didn't watch Nigeria versus Guinea-Bissau. I didn't watch Ghana versus Mozambique. But what I would just say is that Ghana, absolutely unacceptable that they haven't won a match in the African Cup of Nations since 2019. I think Ghanaian journalists feel that way, fans feel that way, and it does feel like this is the end of the run for Chris Hughton, who, if you ask anybody, I think everybody respects him as a gentle, honest, kind-hearted football person, and many people would even say he's knowledgeable. But he's probably conducted one of the worst periods of Ghanaian football at an African Cup of Nations in a while. So I think he's probably heading for the sack in the very, very near future. They're not mathematically eliminated yet, but there's a very, very small chance that they're actually going to go on through as one of the best third-place sides. So that's it. It was a night full of drama. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And that's it. So tomorrow we have matches in Yamoussoukro and Bouaké between Group C and Group D. It's going to be probably just as action-packed and drama-filled. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And any observations that you have, I think, would definitely be interesting for me as well. So let me know what you think in the comments below. And I hope you enjoyed tonight's round of football. And we'll see you tomorrow.